Speaking of time warp, that's something I wanted to get into. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow. Have you ever looked into the Trump time traveler theories? Like, not that I believe in
No, but
it,
I
but
heard you talking about. Well, I heard you talking about that recently about a specific event, which I did not know. But I have gone down the rabbit hole on 4chan like a year ago or something, saying how he's like related. Are you talking about how he was related to Tesla, or his dad has some Tesla documents and all that stuff?
yeah. So supposedly his uncle, Donald Trump's uncle, was John Trump. John Trump that worked for, I don't know if it was FBI or something.
Yeah, they look. I love this. Yeah, they look. Come on,
And
like
they
okay,
look identical.
you can tell me they're not related. Fine, people do look alike who like aren't related, but they do look alike.
Okay, now here's the question. Is this guy just the same guy that's Julian Assange and he took this picture and they put a Photoshop filter on
See?
him? It's possible. That's what I think is possible.
I was thinking about that lately. That's the great thing about books. Like no one can. Well, I mean, I don't know, but no one can sneak in your house when you're not home, rip out the pages, or replace them. Like
Yep.
with this internet, just like and especially you've talked about before with the deep fakes. Like they just put it in our mind that any of this stuff can be fake now.
But then you have that also. There's that marvelous Baron Trump's book, and it's supposedly from like 1900 or I don't know the exact year, but early 1900s or something. Let's see if it says here. And it's got a picture of a kid that looks like, well, it's from the late 1800s, and it looks like Baron Trump on the cover of the book. But now I also speculate this thing could have been printed in modern times, and then they use the internet to just backdate it.
Uh-huh.
How would you ever know? And they say
Yeah, man.
this source here as Library of Congress. So when the government says anything else, they're full of shit. But when people want to believe a wacky theory like this, then the
Hmm.
Library of Congress is all of a sudden legit. And then this
Um,
book too, it says Baron Trump was from Don Fum's World Within a World, and he like traveled dimensions or something. So basically, almost like a time traveler.
uh,
And he,
do you know where this book is from?
let me see if it says in this. It's been a while since I
Hold
looked into
on.
this. But I have a
Does it
link for
say?
this. I have a not a link, but like a connection I've never heard anyone else talk about. Let me get into that.
Really quick, wait, does the book say Baron Trumps?
Yeah, Baron Trump, but they're saying Baron like a land baron or like as a title, I think. But still, his name's Baron Trump's
Yeah.
Marvelous Underground Journey. And that author also wrote a book called like The Last President, I think too. And it had like a confrontation or something, civil unrest in the same streets in New York where Trump Tower is. I might not be 100% like that, but I'm sure people in the chat have heard of it. But
I've
here's
heard of that as well. And you're saying
yeah,
it's the same author?
I'm pretty sure it's the same author. I'm just going off memory, but I think it is.
Yeah.
And then so here's the connection that I have that I don't hear many other people. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about is have you ever heard of the most mysterious song on the internet? Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll play like a 30-second clip so people have probably heard of it.
I'd have to listen to it.
So there's this song that came out like years ago, and so the backstory of it is supposedly this guy recorded it off the internet or off of a radio in the early '80s, I believe. And then he later in life, this guy's maybe in the '90s or early 2000s, he's going through his tapes and he's digitizing them, and he finds this song, and he's been online, and people have been helping him online for like 20 years trying to find the name and band of this that writes this song. So let me play just one. I'll play like 30 seconds of it maybe because it's
Okay.
not copyrighted.
I'm gonna try to Shazam.
So there's tons of YouTube videos, Reddit's dedicated to this song for years. It's like a huge thing. This one version I pulled up on YouTube has 2.9 million hits. So 3 million hits on just one version of it. And
What did you think it said right there?
it's very hard to tell, but I have a really good ear. And I think he says like the wind. That's what I
Okay.
hear. And
I
there's disputes too of what it says. There's different people that say it says different things.
I actually Shazammed it, and that's what came up. It said the most mysterious
Oh,
song on the
really?
internet. Yeah.
So then what you do is you go back to Trump. Let's bring it back to Trump. Hold on. So Trump was known back in the day to call himself John Barron. He was his own publicist. When the newspapers would call him back in the day, he would call and say, "Hey, I'm Donald's publicist. My name is John Barron." But it's obviously Trump, right? I'll play just a quick highlight of this if no one's ever heard this. Just 30 seconds or so.
Okay, what's your first name, Danny? John.
Well, let me tell you what the deal is, just so you understand.
Okay.
Mr. Trump bought, first of all, most of the assets have been consolidated to Mr. Trump, because you have down Fred Trump, and I'd like to talk to you off the record if I can, just to make your thing easier.
Okay, sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, but I think you can really use Donald Trump now, and you can just consolidate. I think last year somebody showed me the article, and I think you had 200.
So that's obviously Trump, and it was known back in the day. He would go by John Barron, is what he would call himself. I think there was another name he would use too, but I can't remember right now. So anyway, then that ties back to the people that think Donald Trump is John Titor. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that? This is like a 20, 30-year rabbit hole. So John Titor, I'm going to bring it back to the most mysterious song. Don't worry. John Titor was a guy that called in back in the old days to the old, what was called the Coast to Coast radio show. Or he would email and call and write posts online, and they think it was, many people say they think it was John Titor was Donald Trump. I can't talk right now. Let me see if there's any proof of that. Not proof. I mean, there is no proof, but, and yeah, he would say he was from a nuclear Holocaust future, and he was back here to try to save. He was here for some, I can't remember what it is, to fix some coding in some software that would work in the future. And he had knowledge back then, before it was even released, that, let me look it up because I can't, dude, it's been so long since that leads us 20-year-old rabbit hole.
And say again, where did he call into?
It was called Coast to Coast with Art Bell. So that was the original. You young kids don't know about it, but it was the original, it would play on AM radio. It was Monday through Friday, and people would call in. It was about conspiracies, paranormal type things, and everything like that. And he said he went to the past to find some, I can't remember, some technology. So because his technology was wiped out, and that was what was considered a proof. Now I don't think it's a proof, but let me, instead of keep looking for it, I'll just keep going. Whatever, you guys probably know what I'm talking about in the chat.
But does it sound like Donald Trump? If it does,
well,
you should
I
play
don't
that,
think
but
there
that
is.
would
I
be
don't think
cool.
there actually is. I think it was an emailer actually, and he was an internet poster. But here's where I bring it back to the most mysterious song on the internet. So John Titor, they say, had a friend named Pamela, and he said he had a song that only he would know the name to, right? Pamela also claimed John Titor provided her with a secret song that could be used to verify anyone who'd come forward and say that they talked to John Trump. That was the code if they knew the name of this song. So the whole world's looking for this most mysterious song on the internet. And John Titor has a friend named Pamela that he told the song to. And then you have Julian Assange has the connection to Pamela Anderson. That's his, I don't know if it's his girlfriend or whatever, but there's all kinds of pictures of Julian Assange where Pamela Anderson is visiting.
Didn't she visit him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's my connection. I don't know if it's real, but it's there's that mysterious song, and John Titor had a song. So Donald Trump's uncle looks just like Julian Assange, and Julian Assange is connected to Pamela Anderson.
And Pamela knows.
And Pamela knows that Pamela, not necessarily Pamela Anderson, but a person online named Pamela knows John Titor and knows the name of this song, and that's the only way they can prove they've actually communicated with the real John Titor is by knowing the name of this song, and only Pamela knows it. Now, not necessarily Pamela Anderson, but this online person named Pamela. But that's my connection.
John Titor again. John Titor is the guy who called into the radio show who people think is Trump.
Yeah, okay, I don't think it was calls now that I think about it. I think it was he would just email them, and he would post on message boards back then and say he was from the future. And he had very, in my opinion, he had very little proofs, but there's some things that are considered proofs.
So if we can get Pamela Anderson on, we can find out if she knows the name of the song.
Yeah, listen, if I'm gonna look up Pamela Anderson, yeah, Gray just said in the chat, 1995 Pamela was lit. If I'm pulling up Pamela Anderson, we're pulling up Pamela Anderson Prime. Come on, I don't want to see her now.
Yeah, Baywatch.
Yeah, hold on. Now back then we didn't know any better, but is this another reversal or what? Could be.
Man,
how would you know?
I
hope not. Okay, I remember the connection with Titor. What they said was the so-called proof. Now, I don't know if I would consider this proof, but he said back then he came to the past to get what was called an IBM 5100 computer. Because unbeknownst to anyone when he made this claim, this machine can actually communicate in different computer languages that people didn't know about at the time. So he said he needed this to like debug some technology shit in his future. Let me see if I can find let's see. To make matters worse, what little remained of their technology was threatened by the looming Unix timeout error in 2038. An IBM 5100 was just what they needed. Its ability to debug and emulate code between various programming languages made it an important component in keeping the technological architecture of their fallen world alive. Unfortunately, none could easily be found in 2036, so Titor's mission was straightforward: travel to 1975 using a rudimentary time machine and acquire an IBM 5100 portable computer. So now back when he made these claims, supposedly nobody knew that this machine could do that, and then people investigated and looked back and asked like the creators of this machine, and they said, yeah, that's true. It could do that. So the only people that would have known that would have been like super high level computer nerds at that time, which he could have also been that. I don't think it's necessarily a proof.
So he was probably spewing this shit. And people were like, yo, this guy's nuts. And then like years later, IBM's like, nah, not in that regard. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty crazy.
But that's the whole story of like, or one of the angles. I guess there's many other angles of like Trump.
Yeah, I've
supposedly.
never heard that one. That's pretty insane.